All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining in. If you're joining in on LinkedIn, today is the day. Product Hunt launch has happened for Shuttles. The very first one. It's probably been a long time coming. The lads have been planning to do one for a while, but I stepped in to give them a little bit of a hand with it. It's a big undertaking to do, and obviously the lads have been working really hard at like putting out the content to make sure that it's promoted well. Uh, First and foremost, introductions. People that probably haven't seen my face before. I'm Owen Hamilton, and the lads brought me in to help out with some of the marketing over the last few months. It's been an absolute joy to work with the guys, and more recently with Mark on marketing for Shuttle, building their marketing engine. And one of the focuses for the last couple of months has been leading up to this Product Hunt launch. So we decided that we wanted to throw a party for the launch. So just gather everybody together, talk about the launch itself, try to promote people, get over there, get some upvotes, and to talk about the history of Shuttle, the journey so far for the lads, what's going on in terms of investments, and then what's the future look like for the business. So I suppose just kicking it off, lads. Do you want to jump in and just take us back to where it all started? How did Shuttle begin?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Owen. Yeah, it's funny to think that we're now coming towards the end of 2025. Myself and Scott started originally building our first attempt at a company back in early 2022, but the roots of Shuttle go back 10 years probably or more, Scott. For those who don't know, although we've said it probably enough times on our social content over the last couple of years, myself and Scott go back 25 years. We've been best friends since we were kids. And about 10 or so years ago, we both started investing alongside each other together in public markets, just in various stocks, and then in cryptocurrency when crypto started kicking off, and kind of wild ICO days. For me, it kind of happened after I joined Salesforce and I signed up to the employee stock purchase plan, and all of a sudden I was actively purchasing Salesforce stock every month with my paycheck, and investing in the company pension. And very quickly, you know, my financial literacy started to expand and I took more notice and more interest in these things. Always had a deep interest in how money works and finance and investing, but never had really taken it or attempted to kind of play a part in it or have a go until that time when I joined Salesforce. And it was only then that I started to, I guess, take the time to learn a little bit more about how it all works and how I can get access to it. And even back then, I mean, that was 10 years ago, it was difficult. There wasn't that many routes to actually access purchasing stocks and investing in ETFs and whatnot. I mean, over the last 10 years, things have changed dramatically in terms of the amount of platforms that have launched successfully. You know, your DeGiro's, Trading 212's, Public, Robinhood, all these Revolut. I mean, that just wasn't there back then. And it was I think it was probably more so crypto, Scott, that really got us, that pulled us in a little bit more. Just, I think just the frenzy and craze around it, for good or bad at the time. A bit of both, I think. That really dragged us in, and that kind of got me looking at some of the other platforms that were available, not just on the crypto side. Specifically, eToro was kind of the first one that I came across where you could, where retail investors could get access to different types of investment opportunities. And it just kind of pulled us in from there. And that's what really drove the initial interest. And naturally, when you become a little bit more engaged in something, when you become a little bit more astute and learn about it, you look for other opportunities. And we started looking outside of those asset classes to see, is there anything else that's of interest? And with both of us working in tech, specifically with venture backed scale up and startups, it was impossible to not take notice of that space and get pulled along and look for opportunities to access those things, scaling. at an incredible rate, and growing, and often having a kind of front row seat to that journey because of the work we were doing. Yeah, impossible to not get interested and get pulled along.
And was there like kind of a light bulb moment, like one particular moment where you're like, that's it, that's the we need to go after private markets?
I don't know if there was. I think there's probably a couple of different moments. There was certainly, I'm happy to talk to mine. Scott probably has his own, and there was probably a couple of different things over the course of some time. It wasn't like the one thing, and then we said let's go after it. Like for me, I remember seeing a bunch of clients. I worked with a bunch of unicorns out of the UK, really interesting businesses. Again, that kind of naturally pulled me in. I remember one of my clients that I thought I was going to be closing a deal with at the end of the fiscal, and they went quiet on me and a few months out, and it was only at the very end of the quarter that I saw they were acquired by Workday for almost $1 billion. That was definitely a light bulb moment, thinking I wonder how the founders did, I wonder how the employees did, etc. But it wasn't at that moment that we said, now let's jump. I think it was probably a few bits and pieces over time that kind of snowballed and ultimately led to the time where we said, right, now's the time. There's something here. Let's go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like, yeah, definitely for me, it was like a series of moments. I'd always like known I wanted to have my own business. Didn't know what it was going to be. Obviously had a passion for investing, as Rob did as well. So I think doing something within that space and being a software engineer as well myself, like I knew I could build something. So given myself and Rob both had a passion for the same thing, and we knew there was something, we knew there was an opportunity there. We didn't quite know exactly what that was at the time, but we knew there was something there we could go after, and it was a passion we both shared. So I think it just made sense then. And throughout the process, it's knock after knock. You keep trying certain things, it doesn't work out, and you just kind of find your way by just pushing forward and making mistakes.
Yeah. So, like, what made you think that you were the right people to kind of solve this problem?
Yeah, I think I could touched on a little bit there. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just gonna say, I think it was a case of, it was trying to scratch our own itch, right? It was like we wanted something that wasn't available to us, right? So it was a case of, well, if it's not out there, let's go and do it. Let's go and build it the way that we want it to be built, the way that we would want it to look and feel and work. And we did a lot of validation before we decided to do it. But we ultimately came at it as a customer, right? We were like, we're two people interested in investing. We're not sophisticated investors. We're not necessarily incredibly knowledgeable, but we're super interested and curious about investing as a whole, and we would love to get access to opportunities within the venture capital space. We both work in tech. We had relevant skills, experience, networks to early stage tech companies. We just didn't have the net worth or the network that's required to get access to them, right? So we thought there must be other people like us out there who are in a similar position. And I recognized from working in a large tech company, and with a lot of people who had come and gone from other similar big tech companies, the kind of household names. A lot of people are very, very interested in obviously technology naturally because that's the space they're working in, but also investing and stocks and whatnot because they're more closely aligned with this space than maybe someone working outside of the technology space, for argument's sake, or in a company where they don't offer stock options, etc. So I recognized from the people that I was working with, once everybody was in on the employee stock purchase plan, there was all of a sudden everybody's interest kicked up a few levels. They were regularly speaking about it. They were regularly checking on how the company was doing, how it was growing, and the various throughout the year and the times when you were able to either purchase or sell stock. So it kind of pulled people in. And then, naturally, the people I was working with across a floor of, hundreds of people working with similar businesses across Europe, constantly speaking about how these companies are growing, constantly speaking about what they're doing,
Rob's gone.
the hiring.
Yeah, I think that was
the
inevitable.
purchasing
His
of new technology,
screen just
etc.
kept
So
dropping there.
we were
He
kind
was,
of
he was
this
on, he was on a
we're
roll
not
there as well.
people who seem to be.
Yeah, Scott, do you want to jump in on that?
Let's validate it.
What was it again? Sorry, I
As many
was
as
trying to
we
debug something for a user.
Always working. I suppose, yeah, on the idea of you guys being the right people to solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to add, like on what Rob already said. Like we were the people we were solving the problem for. So yeah, like Rob already mentioned, we're building a product that was for ourselves, and we both use the product ourselves now that we've launched. So I think that was it. We had an acute awareness of what needed to be done in order to build the right product for the people we serve, because we are those people.
Right. Okay. What were those early days like in Shuttle? Like the very start. Like was this like a side hustle? Was this something you were doing alongside your existing job, and then you switched over? And when did that happen? Like, was there a particular moment where it was you were
Yeah,
felt it was the right time?
it was definitely a side hustle for a while. I remember vividly myself and Rob would meet every, I think it was like every Tuesday and Thursday night. We would, after normal work hours, we would get in the cars and drive down to a cafe, and we'd meet there. We'd sit there for a few hours those nights, just getting our heads together and figuring this thing out. We did that for like almost 6 months, I think, Rob. And then at a certain point towards the end of that, where we just said like, okay, if we're going to do this, we've got to go all in, because it's getting a bit too much, along with the full-time job. So we just set a date and we said, okay, that give ourselves 3 months to get ready to go full time. And then we went full time, and that kind of unlocked a few things for us. Obviously, it's difficult to try and run a startup alongside a full time job, and especially myself and Rob at the time had two almost newborn boys, so we had a lot going on in our lives. So yeah, we decided to go full time after about 6 months of side hustling. And yeah, those early days were a lot of fun, but it was amazing feeling to finally say goodbye to the full time job and that career, and move on to another thing and something that was ours and something we were able to build together. And that was just a really exciting time. And it's still every day it's like super exciting. It's such a privilege that we get to work together. Obviously, being best friends for the last 25 years, and being able to spend every day together, and have young families together and go through all of this together is really special for both of us. So something we're very lucky to have.
And just on that as well, did you always think that you would work together, or was that just it just happened?
I think it just happened. I think we both always had like aspirations of starting our own companies. It was always something that we both really wanted to do. We both studied business and entrepreneurship in college. Rob managed to finish it. I unfortunately dropped out to focus on coding. But yeah, I think it's no surprise that we've ended up together, because we've shared a lot of history together and we have similar ambitions in life. So not surprising, but it was never something that we'd written down that we're going to start a business together. Just it happened naturally.
Yeah.
Okay. So in those early days, do you think you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? Was that a strong feeling that you had when starting out, especially when you went full time?
Definitely.
Still every day. like it never goes away. Like there's every time you solve one problem, there's a bigger problem. You're like, how the hell am I going to solve this problem? It never goes away. It's just if you don't have imposter syndrome, you're probably not being ambitious enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that these are questions that are spiraling around in my head now? But do you think that might have inspired the track that you went down, the unsophisticated investor? Like, do you think that would have inspired that?
Yeah, I guess so. That's yeah. I mean, it's the unsophisticated investor is obviously a play on the kind of old school accreditation rules, sophistication rules when it comes to investors, and we would have considered ourselves, like I wouldn't say we consider ourselves unsophisticated.
Yeah.
I think Rob always speaks very well to this around the dissemination of information over the last decade, and how what was considered sophisticated investor 10 years ago is not the same anymore. Like people are so much more clued into what's happening in the investment world. So I think, yeah, people are a lot more sophisticated these days than they're given credit for. So I think, yeah, things are changing in terms of how accreditation laws and sophistication rules are working, but there's still a ways to go.
So talk to me about that first investment. So the very first investment you made in the business. I know there was two companies, but what was that like? What was the journey in getting them together? And I suppose the feelings of like, we're now investing as a community into these two startups for the first time?
Yeah, it was pretty. It was intense leading into the launch. And there was a lot of moments. I think the thing about building technology companies is you often end up doing a lot of things manually to start to learn and figure out how they work, and then automate those things over time with technology. So there's a lot of things happening manually in the background and figuring out how things should work, the flow of how things should happen. And even just like, one of the most difficult things about investing in venture backed tech companies and early stage startups is getting access to these deals, right? Because oftentimes these are competitive deals with multiple investors looking for access to the rounds. The companies are only raising a certain amount, so if those investors take up all of that allocation and there's no space left, so you're trying to scrap to get in, and fight your corner and your worth to get into those rounds. So that in itself is difficult. And they tend to come together, kind of slowly, and then all at once towards the end. It's like this accelerates as it reaches towards the kind of close date of the fundraise. So there was just a lot happening to like lock in the opportunities. We kind of knew we'd been working on getting access to these deals for a while, but then towards the end, just locking that in, making sure everything in the background is going to actually work. A huge amount of QA testing went in, and shout out to Tom for the support on that front. Like we spent a couple of weeks really working on it, but like right up until the night before launch, we were pulling all-nighters, just doing serious kind of just stressing the platform as much as we could ultimately to try and find where it will break, and ultimately trying to break
I've
it.
lost Rob again.
You're tagged back in, Scott.
Yeah. Okay, I presume he's going to drop off any second
Yeah,
there.
I'll pop him on mute. Yeah, you want to jump in
There
there?
you go. Yeah, basically Rob was saying pulling all-nighters the night before we launched, so it was a incredibly stressful time. And like you'd be testing things, and then something would go wrong. You fix that thing, and nothing go wrong. Before you know it, it's 4 a.m. and you're launching in 3 hours. You're like, oh my god, this is insane. But yeah, it was just one of those things founders have to go through. It still happens sometimes. Fortunately, far less frequently than it was at that launch day. So yeah, but trial by fire for sure.
So talk to me about some of those investments. Is there like, can you call out any of the investments that you've made so far? You're up to 6 so far this year, just a couple of weeks away from the next drop, which would be 7 and 8, which is really exciting. But yeah, over the last year or so, like what are some of the ones that you can call out?
Yeah, so we've done 6 investments so far. 3 have been Irish, 3 have been UK. I can't speak to all of them because some of them still haven't been announced yet. But the very first one we invested in was Gentic, and they're obviously having a bit of a moment right now. They've just got accepted into the AWS AI Startup Accelerator, the first Irish company to ever be accepted into it, and one of 40 companies out of over 3,000 applications. So they seem to be doing really well at the moment. Another one was Pakla in the UK. So we co-invested with the Sidemen for that deal, which was an interesting one. I'm sure a lot of people would be familiar with the Sidemen, and a good person we're close to, Jamie from Upside, a fund in the UK, managed to get us access to that deal. So and the 2 lads, the 2 founders of Buckler, are great guys. They're working hard, heads down. And unfortunately, the rest I still can't mention, even though some were months ago. These things, legals take a long time to close. I'll say that, but we should be announcing another one in the next day or two, which is an exciting one. We're happy to announce. So yeah, we've got another 2 that are happening at the moment, will opening in the next couple of weeks or so.
Nice. So Mark, I'm going to bring you in now in a sec. So the motivation behind expanding into the UK, obviously the UK is multiples the size of Ireland in terms of population, but also the market size and even the culture. Like, was there anything in particular that drew you to the UK market, Scott? First of all, Mark, I'll bring you in after that.
Yeah, I think you said it yourself there. The market size is just so much bigger there, exponentially bigger, and the market, the investing mindset and culture in the UK is very advanced, like close to America. I wouldn't say on par with America, but they're definitely very close, and especially the venture ecosystem within London and the wider UK is is absolutely flying at the moment. So it's just a natural next step. Like obviously we're authorized to operate across Europe, but with the UK being, same language, same kind of legal system, it was a no-brainer for us. And we've done such a huge amount of work getting authorized in Europe. Hopefully it's not too difficult now to get authorized by the FCA in the UK.
Yeah. So, Mark, maybe you can speak to that a bit about the FCA approval process and application process. But before that, what kind of drew you to Shuttle to join, and in particular at this point in their journey?
Sure. So I first met Scott and Rob probably about 3 years ago when they were in the throes of getting their regulatory submission through to the Central Bank of Ireland. And for context, I previously worked in corporate finance in Dublin, and I myself was then an investor, like Scott and Rob were, in the kind of world of crypto. I then kind of saw the kind of trials and tribulations of being an investor in crypto at the time. It's a pretty wild market, and then decided to actually go into government and become an advisor on emerging fintech policy. So as part of the team that kind of negotiated the rules from a European context. I then find myself then actually in a management consulting role advising crypto firms to set up their businesses in Europe. Many US firms that are kind of coming into the European market at the point, and having to kind of create the structure to kind of manage the risks from a retail perspective. So at that time I was dealing with large crypto firms that were getting regulated. So it was quite unusual to see two co-founders that were kind of going through a similar process without the significant resources at their disposal. So what Scott and Rob have subsequently built, I find incredibly impressive compared to companies that had tens of lawyers and people working behind the clock doing all that work for them. So when I first met them, I knew that if there was ever an opportunity to work with them, I would take it. So we continued to have conversations. It became clear that their aspirations were, after getting approval in Europe, were to go into the UK market. So I suppose the stars aligned from our perspectives, definitely from mine, to make that happen. So since I've joined Shuttle, I've been able to kind of get under the hood and see what the infrastructure is that they've built, but also kind of the processes. I mean, I don't think people necessarily understand just the significant amount of regulatory and legal work that goes into getting a business authorized. And I think what we're in a position now to say is that the guys have built an incredible piece of infrastructure for Europe. We can leverage that now in the UK. So we're days away from submitting now our UK authorization, and we've already had a preliminary kind of conversation with the FCA, which has all gone very well. So hopefully within the new year we're able to announce that we're now able to market ourselves and be operational within the UK market. So pretty exciting few months ahead for us.
Exciting times. So I guess back to the lads. What can we expect from Shuttle over the coming weeks, the coming months, the coming years? You proved the business model so far, but are there other things or other goals or other aspirations that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I think from what we've built so far, I think it's become painfully obvious how fragmented, slow, and manually intensive private markets are within Europe. They're definitely a step ahead in the US, but I think Europe is lagging very far behind. And I think it's only going to get more and more popular. And the infrastructure at the moment is built for large institutions. It's not built for millions of consumers to come on and adopt these platforms like we've seen in the public markets with the likes of Robinhood and those platforms and Revolut. So I think we want to position ourselves as that kind of private market operating system. We want to be able to support millions of investors who want to get access to private markets. But not only that, we want to be able to offer our infrastructure to the syndicate leads, the deal managers, the fund managers, to use our systems and be able to accept retail capital, and not just retail capital for what it is right now, to perhaps accept retail capital like an institutional LP. So we want to just really level the playing field for private markets within Europe.
And I suppose what excites you at the moment, at this very moment, in obviously the product launch is going at the moment, and we're currently in the rankings. We're climbing. So if you're watching this and you haven't voted yet, please jump onto Product Hunt, search Shuttle, and you'll find us there. It gives it an upvote and get us up the rankings. But other than that, is there anything that is exciting you about Shuttle right now in terms of products, team, market, and then what excites you about the future? And that's out to everybody.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared to talk because I feel like I'll let my connection go. So
I'm excited about you staying on the stream.
yeah. Apologies, everybody. My connection chose the right time to get really poor. I think the most exciting thing right now where we stand is the team. It's growing the team. We've had the opportunity to bring Mark on full time. Had the opportunity to work with you, Owen, now for a couple of months, and it's been like a total game changer. And just to have been just myself and Scott for so long, and now that changing, to see the team grow and bring in excellent people. We're going to have Alex joining us soon. Is phenomenal, and to see the impact of that already is amazing. So that's been excellent. The quality of the deal flow that we're getting access to as well has been fantastic. We can see the change in that. Like we've been getting access to amazing deals from the start, and we're very fortunate. But I think we're starting to see probably that starting to accelerate a little bit as well, and those conversations become a little bit easier, and that's always nice. Going into the future, like Scott was touching on there, it's really just about what we're building and the direction that we're going in terms of the infrastructure. The interest in Europe is there. It's going to accelerate when it comes to retail access to private market opportunities. We're going to see that acceleration over the next few years, and the infrastructure just isn't prepared for that. It's not built for that yet. So there's a big opportunity to kind of grab hold of that and be that player that kind of supports that retail channel into private market opportunities. And like Scott said, it's not just about creating access, it's about creating alignment between the retail channel and the deal managers, the fund managers on the other end, and being able to kind of reshape and change how retail capital works and how it flows, and kind of bring it in line with how institutional capital flows, make it as simple, as quick, and as easy to accept for the fund managers as retail or as institutional capital. So there's a lot of work to do, but there's a big opportunity and a big gap that we can focus on here. We've already done all the work in terms of laying the foundation and getting set up for a strong few years ahead of us, and now building the team around us just makes it extra exciting and makes it feel, this is real, and this is something that is worth going after.
Yeah, it boggles my mind, the fact that you guys were doing this for so long by yourselves. Like marketing alone, and then getting the CBI regulation and building the product and getting the customers is baffling. But it's,
When you
yes,
saw the marketing wasn't. Now we can call it marketing. Before then, it was a bit haphazard and just getting slapped together by myself and Scott. So it's leaps and bounds ahead of where we were before you came on to give us a hand.
Big time.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to put my my little signature on it and just to help it move along. But you guys did the groundwork, so it's I suppose from my perspective, it's both exciting, but it's a lot easier to work with founders and a company and a culture that have a vision and have a purpose, and they know their customers so well, and they're just ambitious and they're ready to work hard to get things done. So it's great to be part of the team. Scott, do you have anything to add? Is there any other things that are exciting you now or about the future?
No, I think Rob nailed it. Obviously, we've got 2 more investments coming up, so they'll be going live in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll be welcoming some new members to the platform to get access to those. A couple of really exciting opportunities. So yeah, sign up. We'll also, obviously, like you mentioned, Owen, we have the product hunt launch today, so it will mean the world to us if you can go and give us an upvote on product hunt. We'll share the links after the stream, and you can go and help us out, support us.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that is pretty much 30 minutes bang on. So everybody that has joined us for this, thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, it's been it's already kicking off today. We're up in the ranks there. If you have a moment, just jump onto Product Hunt, give it an upvote, share with your friend, share with your nemesis, share with your boss, share with your dog. Just get everybody to upvote this, because it would mean the world to the lads and to the team to see this kind of fly for the day. As Scott mentioned, the next drop is coming in very, very shortly. So keep eyes out for that. Go to joinshuttle.com where you can register for the next drop. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for jumping on and bringing us through the story of Shuttle so far. Tell us the highs and lows. I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunities to share more stories in the future. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Alan.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.